Welcome Libra to your 2020 reading. Guys, it's looking to be the most extraordinary year of transformation for us all. Astrologically, it's mind-blowing next year, but it's affecting each of us in different ways. Every reading I've done for 2020 so far has been all about transformation, and yet the energy is coming in and affecting the different signs in, very different ways. So I'm really enjoying doing these readings. It's been really fascinating and amazing for me to be connecting in with the energy of next year. So guys, for those of you who are returning, who are already a part of our amazing community, because that's actually what we are becoming, thank you so much for your likes, your shares, your comments, and the authenticity with which you are sharing aspects of your own journey, your own struggles. Guys, you blow me away. You are amazing, really, truly amazing. For anyone who is new to my channel, to my readings, I will be drawing runes, 6 runes for this reading, before we draw any cards as well. I use both runes and a variety of different cards. Guys, welcome if you are new to our community. I'm Jenny Florence. I put a lot of free stuff, a lot of free resources into the world, so do check out the information box below, because I won't talk about it all, but it's kind of all in there, so you can find things in that box, including the opportunity to win a free private reading with me. Also, guys, just a quick update to say that a lot of people ask me, what do you use? Which cards do you use? There is a new card and book page with all of the cards listed, and if I reference any books, I'll put them on there too, so that you can find, if a particular set of cards are speaking to you, you'll be able to find them really easily. I've photographed them all as well, so really easy to identify, and of course the runes. So wonderful, Libra. Let's connect in with the energy of 2020 for you guys. We have our first rune. It's the Rune of Opening. Powerful energy. And I want to say, for you guys, I'll just move it here. We'll move them back up there in a moment when we do the cards. This is a rune that speaks of renewed clarity. It's a rune of the morning of activities. It's a rune for me of self-awareness. It speaks of self-awareness. It's this recognition of the connectedness between the way that we ourselves think and of our own actions, and the kind of consequences. It's this profound level of self-awareness that puts you in your own driving seat. Every Libra I know has gone through about 18 months to 2 years of the most phenomenal growth in terms of learning to set down boundaries, learning to stand your ground, learning to have a voice. I have Libra rising, so I'm connected in with that energy as well. And it's this learning to understand that self-care is genuinely important, and it actually energetically affects the world that you create for yourselves. This rune speaks of coming through and out the other side with this profound level of awareness, which it's a very empowering beginning in terms of the very first rune that we have drawn for a 2020 reading. Let's draw some more. We have 2 more. We have the Breakthrough rune and the Rune of Journey. This is phenomenal, really, the energy here. I just really need to say that actually just the energy coming from these runes, the combination of them. Guys, this is really powerful stuff in terms of openings. The Rune of Breakthrough. This is sometimes this is like a 180-degree turn. It means that you literally change direction, you change course. Now, for some of you, it could mean course correcting, but you're doing so from a position of empowerment and awareness. There is nothing in the energy here that feels as though it's kind of, like when stuff happens and it feels like it's just out of your control and you're constantly firefighting. this kind of feels like the opposite. I feel that that's where you've come from. You've had to deal with so much stuff that's had that sort of firefighting element to it. This is a shift away from this. This is interesting though, because the Rune of Breakthrough does also say that it says the outcome is assured. Okay, so very powerful affirmation in that rune. But it also says the outcome is assured, though it may not look as you had expected. So this is really interesting. It's like you get to be in your own driving seat. But this rune also asks you for radical trust. So if you are called to change direction, I want to say take it seriously. You know, if you're doing something or you've been involved in something and you really have that level of awareness now, that means if something isn't working for you, or a situation, a job, a relationship, genuinely it's not in balance, rather than working harder and harder and harder and giving more and more and more to try and make it be balanced, when in fact by giving even more, the irony is we contribute to the imbalance. That's such a Libran thing, to keep people happy but not look after ourselves. As I said, I'm Libra rising, so I have aspects of that within me. You guys do that. You often put everybody else first, and that's part of the learning curve that's been going on. You are now in a position of far greater awareness. This is this rune of renewed clarity. The journey rune, sometimes it does mean we take a literal journey, but more often than not, the journey is within. This is a rune that calls for union, reunion, for communication. And it actually says that your inner worth, your inner self-value, your self-esteem builds. And the reason it builds is because you're operating from a position of self-awareness with integrity. You know, you're never going to walk blindly over other people, trample on other people. It's just not a Libra thing. The challenge for you guys has been to learn to hold yourself in equal worth, okay? And to walk a pathway of integrity where you can actually say no and feel really good about it. Knowing that saying no is like, it's an act of kindness. If you say no to something unhealthy, you're actually saying yes to life. And this has been the journey you guys are on, and I feel as though it's like you're coming out of that. You have that deep level of awareness now. So this is very much new opportunities in terms of simply walking. It's walking a pathway with so much greater awareness that you realise how much influence you can actually have in the way that you manifest your own life. Let's draw more. There's such a profound message coming through for you guys here. Oh wow. And we have the Rune of Gateway. This is a rune of evaluation. It asks you to review, to reflect, and as far as I can see in this reading right now, it's a 2020 reading, new opportunities, new openings, and allow yourself to review and reflect at every stage of the way. I know that that's something that we often do, that this rune does actually speak of having a major life review. It calls to metaphorically climb to the top of a mountain and sit and pause and rest and look back over your entire journey, every aspect of your life that has led you to where you are now and contributed to who you have become. And then with all of that learning sort of integrated into wisdom, you then step through the gateway. So very profound shift in the energy here for you guys, where you are no longer, it doesn't feel as though life is happening to you anymore and you're having to firefight. It feels as though you've done the work, you've learned the lessons. It's kind of almost like, right, okay, so now what do you want to do with this newfound awareness? Where do you want to go? What do you want to manifest for yourselves? Okay, we have two more runes now. We have the Rune of Signals. We also have the Rune of Strength. The Rune of Signals asks you to be alert. be aware of synchronicities, anything, signals, signs that the universe is bringing you to guide you. It's a lovely rune of the affirming of the guidance we receive. It doesn't always feel like guidance. If kind of like shit's happening really and we're having to firefight, it doesn't feel like guidance at all. It feels more like we're being manoeuvred. But you know, sometimes that stuff happens because we've really got to step up and learn to look after ourselves, for example. You know, and it's almost like the universe just gives us a bigger and a bigger and a bigger lesson until we get it. And that's really harsh. You kind of think, you know, could it be done a little more gently? But, you know, maybe sometimes it can't be. So just trust. Yeah, radical trust. And the Rune of Strength. This is the rune of terminations and new beginnings. Some way of being has outgrown its form. This is new energy for you. It's about your adaptability to change. But the changes, and there's a really clear message here. It's kind of like, guys, you have done so much work over the last kind of, I want to say 18 months to 2 years even. But, you know, yeah, the last year, 18 months were very, it was intense, you know, and you guys have come through and out the other side. Things are levelling out. I think you're beginning to get your head above water again. And this is like 2020 takes you that stage further. You're not just keeping your head above water and levelling out. You're stepping into a space where you are in the driving seat. Yeah? What do you really want? Let's review. Let's evaluate. Remove any resistances within yourself. Yeah? The journey rune speaks of... It is this... it's an amazing rune of... almost like connection with ourselves at a level of soul. Now, if we walk a life of integrity, and that includes saying no, by the way, a life of integrity and kindness doesn't mean we say yes to everybody and everything. In fact, far from it. Because if we are giving to the wrong people, I actually think there's almost like this slightly secondary karma backlash that comes. I really understood this in my own life. I went through a phase where I had some really toxic people around me, and I was kind of almost bending over backwards to support them when I should have just said no. And things got worse and worse and worse until I had to say no. And from the moment I said no and actually really firmly, you know, firmed up my boundaries, everything energetically shifted and my whole life started to transform in the most positive and amazing way. And it's exactly that kind of shift that I think we get to when we have been giving and giving and giving, but kind of if we're giving to the wrong people, as I said, I think there's energetically something of their pathway that starts to cling to us, like a secondary karma, and that's really unhelpful for us. So we're talking about you being boundaried. You've done that work, you've learned to say no, you understand the value and importance of that, of self-care, and now that puts you energetically in a place of clarity, and you are now in your own driving seat. 2020 marks this transition to not just moving through that learning phase, but like embracing it, integrating it into you, so it's there, it's like it's this... It's in you at a cellular level. It becomes, instead of having to think about saying no, if something is inappropriate or unhealthy, you just say no. It's like it's instinctive, it's in you. Magical energy for you guys. And all I can say is there is so much empowerment. I am literally, I can feel it. There's a strength. Wonderful. Rune of Strength, of course, that we conclude the rune message with. But yeah, there's a real strength that's just, I can literally feel the energy of it. It's amazing, actually. And I just want to connect in with my angels. I always sort of decide, you know, maybe what kind of stones, what crystals. My feathers are usually here. They have a huge energy about them. I always decide and see what I'm called to bring into a reading. And rather than one angel, it was this row of angels. And there's so much strength. It's like a wall of light. Yeah, it's like a boundary of light. And that's actually the flavour of the energy that is around for you guys for 2020. And I just want to say big respect, because you've worked very hard to be here. I mean, you know, life has thrown a lot of stuff at you. That is absolutely for sure. So we're going to draw from one of my favourite, all-time old favourite packs of cards. They've been with me a long time. Ah, this is interesting. Seven of Swords. And before I start to interpret stuff, I'm just going to, Page of Swords. I can see. Very clear message here. And we have the Fool. New beginnings, wonderful new beginnings, wonderful opportunities. And we have the card of Strength. And the Eight of Wands. I understand very clearly the message of this. I want to say to you guys that the changes that you are embracing, that I've been talking about with this energy of the runes, I think what you're going to find is that as you step into a space of empowerment, systematically there will be some resistance from certain people around you, people who are used to you kind of doing what they want or doing it their way. Okay, that's the flavour that's coming through. The Seven of Swords it's an interesting card because it's kind of someone coming in through the back door. In a way, this is a card that isn't entirely, I want to say it isn't entirely honest, but it also speaks of tact and diplomacy. The story around this, of this figure, is if they were to march through the front door of something, they would be slaughtered. So they need to use some sort of guile, some tact and diplomacy, and yet that can feel like a fine line. But I really understand the message for you guys, really loud and clear. What you're being asked to do with your newfound empowerment is, firstly, I think you're going to meet some resistance in others. Now, I remember there's a really good book called The Dance of Anger. Harriet Lerner Golder, I think, was the lady who wrote it. And I loved the analogy she used. She spoke about abusive relationships and toxic relationships. And she said, she described them as a dance. And she said, basically both parties dance the same steps. But what happens is that if one person steps up and decides to say no, effectively they are changing their steps. And she said what will happen is that a lot of feet will get trodden on, a lot of toes will get trodden on. And either the other person will adjust their steps accordingly, or they will up sticks and go and try and find somebody else who will dance the same steps for them again. Okay, I'm using that analogy because this for me is what I'm hearing in relation to this. You have done all this amazing growth. You're learning that you actually need to look after yourself. But there will be people who still have expectations of you. And you are being asked to hold your boundaries. Even if the Page of Swords, again, it's a card of kind of gossip. All the kind of, she's not doing what I want, or he's not doing this, or, it's sort of the behind the back stuff. And I think as you step forwards and integrate all these new aspects of life, of vitality, of possibility, some people will be resistant to that because it's not what they're used to. They're used to you just giving endlessly, so they're not going to like it. So they're going to kick off a little bit. So I think that's where you're going to face, not challenges, because I think you're really clear, but there maybe will be this terminations and new beginnings. Something's outgrown its form. There'll be a kind of a systematic processing of people, I think, in your world. Most of them are going to come round, but there might be some that don't, and you'll know, again, signals. Yeah, trust that the universe is bringing you signals. So if somebody behaves badly, it's actually incredibly good information. It doesn't feel like it. It feels just horrible if someone behaves badly around us. But the honest truth is, this is valuable stuff. It's giving you really good information and you can act on that. So there's that aspect, and there is another aspect to the message from this card, which is also to do with don't share everything with everybody in terms of your plans. You are stepping into a phase of huge new possibilities. We have the Fool, new beginnings, taking risks, stepping into the unknown. It's wonderful, wonderful energy. As you shift your internal energy, and you guys know this now, everything outside starts to change. As good stuff comes to you, you are going to also be faced with the envy of people. There are lots of people in the world who really, really want more for themselves, but they are not necessarily prepared to do the work to get that. But they envy those that do the work. You have worked to be here. So I think there are two aspects to the messages here, and that is the second one. As you step into new opportunities, new possibilities, own them for yourself, but you don't reveal your cards to everyone, because that kind of invites envy. Just be thoughtful about who you share yourself with. It's part of the consolidating phase of this extraordinary work that you guys have done. As I said, you've been through just difficult stuff, basically, and you've stepped into the learning. You have your head above water. Things are starting to level out. This 2020 year takes you that step above and beyond and into new areas of manifestation in your lives. That's the energy that is with you if you wish to use it. The card of Strength, again, love that, connecting in with this also energy of strength of this rune. This is about new beginnings. That's what the collaboration of these cards is speaking about. Sometimes this card speaks of needing to travel inwards, and it's kind of like if something happens and it knocks you off balance, it's kind of like just recenter yourself and find that inner reserve of strength that we all have deep within us. If we are facing a challenge, sometimes we can almost like hit rock bottom, but we somehow find that ounce of something to come back up again. Interestingly enough, this card doesn't have that energy about that hitting rock bottom about it. It's more about maintaining your strength and maintaining your own personal inner balance during transition. Coming very clearly, because this is the rune of terminations and new beginnings. Something has outgrown its form. We can feel incredibly vulnerable when we start to learn to say no to people, because it's like, even though we know it's the healthy thing to do, we're out of our comfort zone, especially with people who are used to us saying yes to them. So this is this consolidation, but again, Eight of Wands, wonderful energy, new possibilities, new horizons. I mean, for some of you guys, it could literally mean travel, but yeah, we're talking new horizons, new possibilities, new openings. So guys, let's draw from another tarot pack. This is lovely. We have the energy of the moon. This is a rite of passage. It's a card that says you experience some restlessness. And it's like you're needing to... It speaks of... It's almost like when we travel through darkness to get to the light. It's like travelling through a dark tunnel and we come out the other side. It's sitting beneath these two cards, where those messages were very clearly around in terms of standing on toes and having to maybe, accept that if someone behaves badly, it's good information. It's the integration of your learning, but you come out the other side. I think some of you will feel possibly quite restricted. You may even find yourself still in a relationship that's been a little bit restricting, that's been shutting you down, holding you back. For some of you, that analogy that I gave of that book, guys, I'll put the link to that book on the cards and books page. Now I've got that on my website. When I make a reference, I'll try and always do that, so that if that's a book that interests you, you can find it easily. So I'll do that after I've done this reading. But yeah, a need to break free from something, not to be held back anymore. Lovely. And you do. Emotional freedom, there's an emotional shift where you get to be able to speak your mind, but in a way that of course still has that wonderful Libran quality of balance and harmony about it. This is lovely. This is coming through something. This is the emotional freedom that we derive from. It's the emotional freedom that we derived from true emotional awareness. We can say how it is without being offensive. We're not retaliating in any way. We're not using our emotions to retaliate against someone. We're just saying, well, I'm sorry, this isn't right for me. You know, sending you love. It's a position of empowerment and emotional empowerment. That's where you guys are moving. This is lovely. We have the card of art and the card of the Ace of Swords, of new beginnings. Wonderful energy. Wonderful energy. I think your energy levels are going to go up and up, okay, in 2020, or that's really what I'm hearing. I'm not saying there won't be some peaks and troughs, because I think there is this residue of expectation that you will continue to give endlessly without looking after yourself. And it's that residue that every time you process it, you actually feed your soul, because you're looking after yourself. And that's not about selfishness. You know, Librans are not selfish people. They are always balancing things, trying to keep everybody else happy, often at the expense of themselves. So guys, this card of art is a card of balance. Mind, body, spirit. Understand yourself holistically. Listen to yourself in every possible way. Align yourself so that you are constantly fueling your own self-worth, self-esteem and confidence. Guys, also, I keep making reference to other things, but in the library there are various videos to do with the difference between confidence and self-esteem. If you're not aware of those differences, again, they may be helpful in really learning to consolidate your own process of growth and learning, so that you need to start really upping your own sense of self-value. But wow, guys, new opportunities, new energy available to you. So I'm going to draw from another tarot pack now, and one that I use to connect into the energy of the people that are around you. Okay, so we have the Four of Earth. We have the card of the Mother. And then we have the Three of Earth. That's an interesting, very earthed, very grounded, very interesting set of cards. So, Four of Earth. This is a card of stability, reliability, steady progress. It's like there's a flavour of kind of endurance, one step at a time. It's really interesting. It also asks you to stand your ground and not falter. So in terms of, again, your own steady progress, your own growth, your own consolidation, this for me rubber stamps everything that we've been talking about in this reading. It's like it rubber stamps your own personal entitlement to know that you are worthy, to build that self-esteem, and for the external world to align with that self-worth and that self-value. Because we then have the wonderful card of the Mother, commitment, compassion. This is a card of abundance, of growth. It actually asks you to embrace abundance, embrace your entitlement, to have things for yourself, to take care of yourself. It also asks you to nurture yourself and nurture your own ideas. There's such a big emphasis on care of oneself and nurturing oneself. We then have the three of Earth, and this is a card of ambitions. It's sowing seeds. I love the energy of this. I'll just hold this up to you. They're really beautiful cards. So these cards, or this card rather, increased opportunity, fertility, healthy, good, flourishing outcomes. The interesting thing is, what I'm hearing here, and this is lovely. I drew these cards asking to know what kind of people there are around you. Now this is about you connecting in. These first two cards are about you, connecting in with that need to hold your ground. But I think what you're also going to attract into your world, the more you support yourself. These cards have a dual message. One is a very clear message to you in consolidating your growth and looking after yourselves, investing in your own interests. Actually, this is going to draw to you people who are going to support you and who are going to want to invest in you, who are going to want to commit to you, be around you, support you, nurture you. And this is the irony, I think, when I spoke earlier about my own phase of ridiculous overgiving. And whenever I was overgiving and it kind of didn't work out, I'd almost step up and give even more. I had this idea that if I wanted to receive, I needed to be giving, giving, giving. There is a relationship there, but actually what I realised was that as long as I was not giving to myself, I would draw into my life people who were not giving to myself. Yeah, there was a relationship there. And this is what this is speaking about. I think you guys start to really see the results of the hard work you have been doing. The more you hold your boundaries firm, the more emotional freedom you experience within yourself, the more you align yourself with your core values and you apply those core values to you as well as everyone else, I think you are going to bring into your world people who are really going to support you in return. This is a very, very, very lovely energy. I'm going to draw from the astrology cards now. Fourth house, roots. Yeah, this is like a year when you get to ground yourself. It's a year when it's like an earthy phase of life, if that makes sense. And it feels good, it feels really good. Earth element, stability. Guys, every Libra I know has been sort of like through the most phenomenal ups and downs. This looks to be a year of much greater stability, where things start to settle, they consolidate. It kind of like literally, I think for some of you, the journey rune, I know it's usually an inner journeying, but sometimes we literally can up sticks and put down roots somewhere else, or we decide to put down roots where we are. Lovely, lovely energy here. There's so much centeredness, groundedness is the right word. That's the energy of this. I'm now going to draw from the Art of Manifestation cards. Okay, we have the card of Miracles. I love this card. Actually, now we may actually have trouble not being camera. I'll see if I can, where can I place this? I'll put it here. Miracles. We tend to perceive miracles only when our personal desires are met, and yet when we look back, almost all of us will be able to recall a crisis or a challenge that ultimately proved to be a miraculous turning point and an extraordinary gift. This card asks you to see the miracles that surround you right now and in every situation. That's magic, because that's where you've come from. And I think some of you are still working your way through that. It's these toes getting trodden on aspect. Just trust, it's really good information. Yeah, it's empowering to know where we stand with people. It can be the biggest miracle ever if it causes you to make the right decision. And there's so much promise of stability, of steadiness, of growth here. Outcome. Okay. This card asks you not to be too attached to a specific outcome. In any new situation, the possibilities are open-ended. Anything might happen. Try not to prescribe a fixed outcome within your mind, as this may limit your availability to access the infinite scope of possibilities sent to guide you in the best possible direction. Listen to synchronicities, listen to the messages. Even if something is a challenge, it could be bringing you really important information. And again, if we're too fixed to something, we kind of don't notice that, we could have walked right past a window of opportunity and just not even seen it. Okay, this is interesting. We have the card of expectation. Expectation is a form of memory. Our past experiences colour our expectations of future situations and circumstances and outcomes. You are asked to release any form of negative expectations based on past experience and centre yourself in the infinite possibility of now. Guys, as you move away from people who have behaved badly or been a little bit toxic in your lives, as you learn to say no, again, that was the dual message of this card. Keeping things close to your chest, so to speak. Don't reveal your cards, but also don't expect or assume that everything will go badly or that everyone will, we carry the scars of relationships, I think. I think it's in relationships that we get hurt the most. It's in relationships that we can also heal the most. But we ourselves need to learn to navigate relationships with discernment. Very, very important quality to develop. So again, don't look at people through rose-coloured glasses, because actually taking everybody and assuming they're all marvellous actually leaves you in quite a vulnerable position, and that's partly what has possibly led to some overgiving to the wrong people in the past. However, don't also assume that everybody is that way. It's kind of learning to navigate from a position of real mindful reflection. Helps you to consolidate that position of self-care. And a lovely, lovely energy. Stay on course. This says you are facing some big stuff in your life right now. This card is a request that you keep going and stay on course, however challenging this may feel. Please be reassured that right now this is the appropriate way forwards. The universe supports your direction, and slow and steady progress is assured. Again, absolutely, this is a reading of slow and steady progress where you consolidate and you bring into your life stability, centeredness, groundedness, so much opportunity to, as I said, it's like stepping up that ladder of growth. You've come so far, you take that next step. Absolutely amazing possibilities. Guys, I'm now actually going to conclude just by drawing from the Spirit Animal Guide pack. Our first card, Time to Let Go. This really is a very clear message in terms of letting go of circumstances that don't support you. You're already on that pathway. And then we have the wonderful card, Antelope Spirit. Life is speeding up. It so connects in with the energy. I think 2020 Libra is going to be a year of stepping into that. As I said, it doesn't feel like a new phase of learning curve after learning curve after learning curve. You've done that. You've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. You're moving up and beyond that. Those lessons are consolidating. You're taking them into the real world of your lives amazingly. And let me just bring these wonderful cards down here. I think we are still pretty much in camera. Let's just see if I can shift that just a tiny bit so you can see them all. Yeah, magical. So, you know, an earthy phase where you start to bring to you people who are going to be committed, grounded, steady, and you get to be committed, grounded and steady. You put down roots, you develop stability. Life has thrown so much at you, I know, guys, so this feels really profoundly lovely. It's got a warmth. And as I said, just trust, because this is a year where you start to get into your own driving seat and consolidate the learning. And once you're in that wonderful driving seat of emotional awareness, you get to really take charge of your life and really work out what it is you wish to create and to manifest. Very powerful shift, or an upgrading, that's what it feels like. Very powerful upgrade for you guys. So much love. I will put this reading into a playlist, which means that if at any time during the coming year you remember something of it or feel that you want to touch base just to sort of get a confirmation, you should be able to access it by finding that playlist on the channel quite easily. So wonderful, people. So much love to you, and I will be look forward to seeing you for the big monthly readings and indeed the weekly readings that come with direction and guidance. So much love to you guys.